lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Heather, and this is the Happenings with H.A.P. H.A.P. meaning my initials. Happy holidays. It is officially December now, which is wild. It is the last month of 2020. I think we're all probably pretty happy about that. But still, I hope everyone is in the holiday spirit and is finding some way to find some positivity in all that's happened in the last year. I'm gonna try to be doing some holiday content in December. I'm not sure of everything yet, but I definitely will be doing year-end lists and favorites and stuff towards the end of the month. So be on the lookout for that. I'm very excited to share my year in reading with everybody. But in this video, we're going to do my TBR for the month. So this will be my TBR for December. It's not a huge list of books, but I do have some time off towards the end of the month around Christmas time. So I have better opportunity to read more and stuff like that. But I'm definitely very excited for this month and to share with you guys what I am planning to read. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for finding my channel. I hope you enjoy my content. Everyone else that has been a loyal viewer these last 6 months, I really love you and appreciate you. If you haven't already and you are so inclined, please hit that little subscribe button down below. I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys enjoy the content coming up this month. So let's get into why you guys are here, my December TBR. The first book up on my list is one that I have talked about a couple times that I was wary of reading, but I'm actually going to take the plunge this month. And it is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. As I said, the only Charles Dickens book that I have ever actually read is Great Expectations, and I did not enjoy it. If you want to see a rant in a video, please feel free. It's a story I definitely already know. I've seen countless Christmas Carol adaptations. I was in a Christmas Carol musical twice, so it's a story I definitely know. But if you are not familiar with it, which there might be viewers that aren't, it is a story of Ebenezer Scrooge, who is a greedy miser, and he takes advantage of his employee Bob Cratchit, and he's just very much not a giving person, and it's kind of to his detriment. On the night of Christmas Eve, he is visited by three spirits: the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas future, in an effort for the universe to try to right the wrongs of his life. As I said, I'm sure everyone knows the story, but I've never read the original source material, and I feel like it's kind of a disservice to the story that I haven't in my 35 years of life. And after all these years, I figured it's about time, and I also wanted to add a classic to this TBR because I kind of like mixing up the new with the old. I'm going to be doing the audiobook, and it's only 3 hours, so I'm probably going to finish this in literally a day, but the adaptation that I actually have is going to be the Jim Dale version. For those that don't know, Jim Dale is actually the narrator of the Harry Potter audiobooks. So he is an award-winning audiobook narrator. As we all know, I love my audiobooks. So I'm very excited for him to read me this. I was looking at the Patrick Stewart version, but that is more an adaptation of the one-man show that he performed, so it is abridged, and I wanted to read an actual unabridged version, which is why I chose the Jim Dale version. That's the one I shall be reading this month. The next book on my list is In a Holidaze by Christina Lauren. I've only read one Christina Lauren book, and that was Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, and I really enjoyed it. It was a very fun little rom-com, and this seems to be the same. I wanted to have a book on this list that was very rom-com-y and just reminded me of like The Holiday, Love Actually, something like that, and this seemed to be the perfect fit for it. This book seems to be a Christmas version of Groundhog's Day, so it follows Malin, and she's in a kind of rough state in her life right now. She's not really going anywhere with her career. Her love life is really not great either, and it's the last holiday she'll be spending at this family cabin in Utah. I'm assuming based on the synopsis they're going to be selling it, so they will no longer have holidays there. And she makes a wish into the universe, like pleading for something to make her happy. And that starts a Groundhog Day type of loop where she repeats the same holiday over and over and over again in an effort to figure out what makes her happy. So this sounds really fun. It looks like it's going to be very short and sweet. It's a romantic comedy. It deals with the holidays, so I think it's like a perfect book for December. It's also a recent release from Christina Lauren. It was only released in October of this year, so very excited to read this, and the premise sounds really fun and something that I'm totally in the mood for this month. The next book on my list is The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand. Cynthia Hand is actually one of the Lady Janey authors who authored My Lady Jane, which I read last month, and I will have a review of that in my November wrap-up which I will link here when it is ready. This book is very similar to the Lady Janie series in that it is a subversion of a classic piece of literature, in that it's a parody adaptation of A Christmas Carol. So the novel follows Holly Chase, who when she was 12 years old had her own Christmas Carol adventure where ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future visited her to show her that she was becoming selfish and snobby and just a terrible person. And that was 5 years ago, but she didn't actually change, and she ended up dying at 17. And in her afterlife, she is working for Project Scrooge as the ghost of Christmas past. So now she is one of the ghosts that has to show these grouchy, miserly people their ways of the past, and her afterlife has been pretty miserable, but this year things will change as the synopsis ends. So this sounds like a really fun holiday story, and I'm a sucker for Christmas Carol adaptations that do subvert the story a little bit, because it's such a known classic, and to reframe it and remix it essentially is always fun. So I'm very much looking forward to this one, and if it's anything like My Plain Jane at all, which considering she was one of the writers, I'm sure it will be, I'm sure this is going to be hilarious, and I will just be smiling ear to ear the whole time. So definitely looking forward to this one. The next book on my list is one I've been waiting for forever. I've talked about it in one of my earliest videos, and that is A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir, which is the fourth and final book of the Ember and the Ashes series. And it's been a long year. I've been waiting for this for so long, and I only started reading the series in like January or February. So like, I've not been waiting that long, but it feels like I have. And I just can't wait for this. The ending of book 3 was just a punch to the gut in regards to Elias and Laya's relationship, and I just want to know how it's going to end. I don't want to reveal any plot points because I don't want to ruin anything for people that have not read any of the series. But this is a fantasy series that takes place in a world that's kind of based around ancient Rome, and it is magical realism. So it feels kind of like a historical fiction, fantasy, stuff like that. And it also has a bit of romance into it. And it's just such a wonderful fantasy series. I'm so sad that it's ending, but I just can't wait to know what happens. This one will definitely be an audiobook because I've listened to the last 3 on audiobooks, and one thing I love about the series is that each chapter is written from a different character's point of view, and the audiobooks have different narrators for those characters. So I'm assuming they're going to be using the main 3 audiobook narrators that they've used in the last 3 books, and I'm super excited about that. I can't wait for this one. It's been a long-awaited one for me. It's also probably the longest book on this list, so I'll probably start that as soon as possible, but I'm just, I can't wait. I'm so excited for this one, and most likely it will be a 5-star read for me this year. I can't imagine that it won't be. I know I'm going to be devastated at the ending. I just don't see how it's going to end happily based on the other 3 books, but I just want these characters to have some semblance of happiness, and I just don't know if Sabaa Tahir is going to give me that, but regardless, I'm going to read it and love it. I know it. I'm so excited. The last book on my list is one that I kind of decided to get on a splurge for my birthday, and that is Midnight Sun by Stephenie Meyer. I'm a Twilight fan, I'm not gonna lie. I've read all the books, I've seen all the movies. I went to the Soho Apple store when Robert Pattinson was there, I think for New Moon. He's just as beautiful in person. While I read this when I was older, there's just something about the series that really brings out the 13-year-old girl in me. I know they're not the best written ones. I know that the relationships are very toxic in it. I know all the problems, but I still, it's still a bit of escapism. It's like people that watch the Hallmark Christmas movies. They're terrible, but people love them. And that's kind of how I feel about this. For those that don't know, Midnight Sun is a retelling of Twilight from Edward Cullen's point of view. There was a lot of controversy with this. I remember when the original drafts got leaked, then Stephenie Meyer got really pissed off that someone leaked her manuscript, and that's fair. So she decided she was never going to write it again, and then the movies ended. There was that weird gender bent version, which I've not read because, I don't know, I'd rather read something from the regular character's perspective. And then this was dropped on us in 2020 out of nowhere, which is amazing. I'm not complaining, but it's kind of wild that it was. I really adore the cover. That's one thing I love about the Twilight series. All the covers are just really, really cool covers and all very specific aesthetic. And what's interesting is pomegranates are associated with Hades and Persephone. So there's definitely a reason for this. So I'm assuming, as with each book, she said that there were specific, very loose adaptations of classic literature. So I'm wondering if this is supposed to be the Hades Persephone myth a little bit, which would make a lot of sense, hence the pomegranate. So I'm very much looking forward to this. It's a big boy, but these usually read really quick. Wow, it's like 650 pages. This is a really big boy. I don't even think it's definitely bigger than the original Twilight, so that's interesting. I'm definitely here for it. I'm very excited to read this. I debated if I wanted to do an audiobook version of this, but since I read all of them physically, I figure why not do it physically, because it's a guilty pleasure and I'm not ashamed of it. So I'm really excited for this, and it'll be really great to relive 2008 again. Yeah. So those were all of the books for my December TBR. As I said, it was going to be a little shorter just because I wanted to really digest and take my time. And also I have that big monster of Midnight Sun to read. So that's going to take up a lot of time too. Have you guys read any of these yet? What are some of your holiday reads that you're planning on reading? Let me know in the comments down below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.